Hello, everybody. My name is College James. I'm here today with Andy Campbell. Andy Campbell is the president of Virtual World Tournaments. Thank you for joining the show today, Andy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kyle. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. How did Virtual World Tournaments get its start?
Initially, this gentleman named Chris Christoph, he is the highest ranking weapons masters in the entire world. Great guy. He was over in Portugal, and him and I got a chance to meet while we were competing in Germany. I was competing for WOMA. It's the World Organization of Martial Arts Athletes. It's an organization I've belonged to for the past probably 15 years now. And when him and I met, I actually competed head to head with one of his students. His students did Tonfa and I did Kama, and his kid won. He was fantastic. It was, no animosity whatsoever. He deserved the win. But Chris and I got a chance to talk a little bit, and he's just a really, really great guy. And he reached out to me the year COVID hit. So he wanted to do one of the biggest outdoor tournaments in the world, and he wanted to do it in Portugal, out in the ocean. He was going to build up these big rings, like 20 feet up 20 feet rings in the ocean, up on these platforms, and there was going to be this whole outdoor thing. And he reached out to me, asked me if I would be interested in coming over and helping run all the kids divisions and doing some seminars. He had Mason Stoll was going to come over. He had a whole list of people that he was bringing over to do this stuff with him. And then COVID hit. And the country of Portugal reached out to him and said, sorry, we can't have anybody here. We're going to shut you down. And he was like, oh, what am I going to do now? And he reached out to me again. We talked about a few things, and he come up with the idea for the Virtual World Championships. And him and I he was the grandfather of the whole thing. He was the guy that spearheaded it. He was the master of it. And I kind of did some behind the scenes for him. I helped him with medals and awards, helped him with kind of organizing some of the divisions and different things. And I actually competed the first year. I had a great time. I was being part of it, helped judge some of the other divisions, and helped organize a few things. And then after the first year, it was funny because he said, this was great, had a blast, but I'm ready to retire and I want to hand the reins over to you. And I said, well, okay, let's go. And I took over. So that's kind of how it got started, and where it all began.
That's amazing that you're able to have that experience and be able to push through since COVID hit. I did a lot of virtual tournaments with sportmartialarts.com and Eventex. Those companies did a lot, and Mad Action did a lot as well in their own right. So it's great to be able to have your circuit as well and be able to take the reins over from him and continue that on as well. There's also many great athletes in Sweden and Germany and Canada and USA. The great thing about your events are not just North American, they're worldwide, and you really try to bring in people from all over the world, which is really awesome.
Yeah, my whole thing is when this whole thing first started, we reached out to everyone, and we had guys from everywhere. Portugal, we had kids come in from Japan, we had people from England, all over Europe, Spain, just everywhere, Mexico, and some of the big names guys that are out on the circuits now. Angel Perez had been in with us. Caleb Boyle's one of the big names that had done stuff with us. Judas Agawa is killing it out there. We've got guys from Sweden. Dan Hansen is just an amazing competitor who's been with us now since the beginning. And, we've had a real opportunity to meet and work with, Mason Bumba was one of the first grade champions that we had. We've had, Shane Billow, a lot of these kids that are out there killing the NASCAR circuit live had been involved in the very first stages of the virtual stuff. So it was a really cool opportunity for us to get to work with some of these kids who are just amazing. We had Mason Stoll come on and do a seminar for us in the beginning. And, even though things have kind of died down a lot with virtual events, and I know that some of the virtual events are still prolific. We're doing pretty well for ourselves, but I try to get people to understand, you're competing against people from around the world. It's not like, you know, some of these guys can't travel from Spain or from Portugal, or, you know, the funding just isn't there. The finances aren't there, but you can still put together a video and compete with these people from other countries that you may never meet in real life. However, you're going to compete against them, you know, and it's a really cool aspect of, you know, of kind of what we do. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. What divisions does your circuit offer to competitors?
We do everything. You know, we have kata weapons. We do a CMX kind of thing where we just call it open. So if you want to do you know, creative forms in there, you want to do musical forms in there, that kind of stuff. We also try to break it down a little bit by you know, we have a Korean division, we have a Japanese division, we have a Chinese division. We have sparring, and I know sparring is one of those weird virtual things, but essentially, you know, we have pad work. So one of my little guys, we've been working together doing, you know, just hand combinations. So, you know, whole pads for him. He's out there banging away, you know, and it can be a minute and a half long. We have bag work. So Daniel Hansen, one of my guys from Sweden, is like right now he's the king of the bag stuff. He's got this heavy bag. He beats the snot out of that thing, I'm telling you. And he's just banging away, working on combinations, moving around the bag, fighting it like it's a person. It's a different way to do it. You know, it's not like you're not one-on-one with a person. You're showing kind of what your moves are, and we kind of judge you based on that. We also have a synchronized division for team. We have a breaking division. We have a para division, which is, you know, mentally and physically, you know, challenged people that are in there doing their stuff. It's amazing. We have this one group from Ukraine. When I say Ukraine, these guys are the para group, comes from Ukraine, and they are just so inspirational watching these kids. You know, some of them have cerebral palsy. This one lady's in a wheelchair. Some of them have, you know, it's a mental disability. But they are so good. They're so dedicated. And to think of what's going on in their country, and these guys are still competing and putting themselves out there to try to challenge themselves from people around the world. It's one of those things for me. It's one of my favorite groups to watch because they just inspire me so much, just to see these guys that even though, you know, what their country's going through, they don't let that get in the way of trying to better themselves. You know, it's really cool.
It's amazing. I'm obviously, as you know, a para athlete. It's great to hear these people wanting to compete. And obviously, Ukraine, there's a lot of political things going on with them in Russia, but for them to continue to want to compete, and it brings a smile on their face and on your face. And it's great to see these different athletes from all over the world in the para and in these different competitions as well. Gets athletes that want some extra practice, maybe up and coming on the NASCAR circuit or other circuits, to hone their skills in the virtual, so they have a better chance of doing well on the other circuits as well. But it's great to be able to have people from all around the world make these connections as well.
Yeah, you know, the fun thing is I'll use kids like you know, like Judah Sakawa is one of my favorite kids out there. He's just an amazing competitor, and I got a chance to meet him a little bit through the virtual stuff, and then, you know, and now I see him a lot on in the open, you know, going out to some of these NASCAR events and getting a chance to kind of meet up with him. Caleb Boyle's the same way. Harold Lerner. You know, these kids are just amazing competitors. And, you know, we have a kid like Mason Bumba, who has done so much in, you know, in his side stuff with, like, he had done his Relentless Threads for a while. These kids are out there putting themselves in such a big spot on the NASCAR circuit. And I got a chance to kind of, you know, touch base with them and learn from them and meet them doing the virtual stuff. And then a chance when you get to go to the big events and meet them in person, it's really a fun thing because, you know, I might not have ever had the chance to meet these kids, you know, in that base, like Angel Perez, you know, coming up from Puerto Rico. And Angel's just amazing. He's so much fun to watch. And he's just like a nice kid. You know, I got a chance to finally meet him. There is one little boy named Sohan Batuli. I butcher his last name. And I promise him every time I see him that I won't, but he's from France. And, you know, I was never going to get a chance to get over to France. He was probably there. But last year, he came over here to the States and competed in K-Talk for Sue and Rick Diaz, all the way from France. And it was amazing because I'd seen this kid, watch this kid online for the past, 3-4 years. And then here he is right in front of me, and got a chance to meet him and his family. And they're just so wonderful, just lovely people. And to get that opportunity, again, this is something that never would have happened for any of us without doing these virtual tournaments, And I tell people all the time, even though the live stuff is there now, even though we're back, competing head to head and being in the same ring and all that stuff, some of these people you're never going to meet again unless, you get these virtual tournaments. And it's a great way to really challenge yourself and to kind of put yourself out there and to hone your craft, like you said, to give these guys a chance to compete with people from, from around the world that they may never meet in person. It's really cool.
That's great. What's the next tournaments you're offering to competitors here in the next little bit?
So the next tournament actually starts July 1st. It opens July 1st. And we do things kind of, it's $35 for the first division, 24 for the second, 18 for anything you want after that. And we have some kids. We have this one little boy, Neil Anderson, who literally does like 10 divisions. He'll do creative, he does traditional, he'll do traditional Japanese. He also does maybe some Korean stuff. He does boxing, he does the kickboxing stuff. He's done the breaking divisions. He does the weapons, extreme weapons, you name it. This kid gets into all of them. And talking to his dad was really impressed with some of the things that we offered because, he had never even thought about breaking before, competing in it. And then he did it once and now he's done a live breaking event. So it gave him a chance to, kind of step his game up a little bit. And that's the best part about it. So July 1, the next division, the next games open, we call them the Series C. We've done Series A and B so far. Series C opens up July 1st, runs through the month of July. So essentially, you record your videos, you send them, you link them to our, on our Facebook page and our web page, we have our registration forms. You put the link to the registration form and, sign up for as many things as you want to do. And you get a chance to be judged from, again, we have judges from around the world too. We have, Chris Christoph, who is judging from Poland. We have guys that judge from Portugal. I have my buddy Dave Pearson, who judges from the Isle of Man. We have people that judge from Canada. And then of course, some judges here from the United States. So you get to see, you get to be part of all of these things. And, it's a really easy, simple process to record a video, and the best part for us with the virtual games is that if you mess up, you can record it again. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about it. If you drop your weapon, you hit pause and you reset and you just record it all over again. So you can send the best video that you have, the best, over to compete against the other best from around the world. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome. It was really great to hear what you have to offer and the all the different countries are coming together to continue to keep this great circuit alive.
It is. And, one of the things that people really like about our circuit that they don't get with a lot of other virtual stuff, and one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is the feedback. So with each judge, what we have a judge do is they watch a video and then there's a comment section. So a judge can say, I gave you, and we judge it this way. You get 2 scores. You get a technical score and an athletic score. So if your stances are really locked in and nice and clean, you might get a 9.7 or 9.8. If the stances are clean, but maybe, the athleticism part of it, maybe your kicks aren't super high, that kind of thing, then you might get a 9.7 for one section and a 9.75 for the other section. So you can get different scores. And then we add them together and that's where you get that's where we get the result. But what we do is we put comments on. So each judge will watch you and say, you know what? I loved your form. It looked really good. However, when you're standing, when your front stance coming at me on the left side, maybe your stance isn't deep enough or your feet aren't turned the right way or little things like that. Chamber your side kick, and we give them feedback. And then these people go back and they practice the things that we've said to them and we get to watch their progress. So when they sign up for the next series, they go back and they're like, you know what? I didn't chamber my side kick on that one, but guess what? Next time I did. So it's a really cool thing. And that's one of the small features about what we do here at the Virtual World Championships is we give you that feedback. How often do people come up to a judge at the end of a tournament and say, why did I get that score? Well, here's why. And we're going to tell you why, and we're going to try to help make you better. And that's a really cool thing. That's one of the things that people comment about us the most. They really love that part of it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely, Kyle. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This has been KC Sports Talk, the podcast with Kyle Chambers.